What is good, everybody? AHS Rules. Back again with another video. I tried to do this Mr. Perfect type of pin catching, and I tried it last time, and I botched it a lot of times, but I finally got it first try this time around. But this is Shooting the Breeze, episode number 18. We got a couple of things to talk about, so let's get into them. So, last week's episode of Shooting the Breeze was filmed on Saturday, so the main reason was that is because I wanted to talk a lot about the NBA, and I wanted to watch all 30 teams play and whatnot. And then I talked about how I'm going to add a new segment each week in which I provide my NBA takes of the week. Maybe I'll have like a proper name for it. For now, it's my NBA notes, along with my NFL weekly predictions, which we're halfway through the NFL seasons now. We just had the NFL trade deadline. I'm not going to talk about... I probably should have graded the trade deadline trades, but in the grand scheme of things, I didn't really care about them. But I'm going to start off with my NFL Week 9 predictions. Just get them out of the way so I can talk about the NBA notes at the end. Like I said, this should be a quicker episode, mainly because NBA notes-wise, I don't have as many as I did last week because I've only had 5 days since that last episode. And there's one subject I'll spend a lot of time talking about once we get to it. So, however, switching things up and doing the NFL predictions to start it off. And we got a loaded NFL week. These teams, however, don't. The teams on their bye are the Broncos, the Lions, the Jaguars, and the 49ers. So now we have the Thursday night game. The main reason I film Shooting the Breeze on Thursdays, that way I get all the NFL predictions out there. Titans at Steelers. Shout out to Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins for last week having a great game, and mainly Will Levis having his debut going against the Steelers, who lost to the Jaguars. And they were mainly saying, hey, we got cheated. By the way, I went 12 for 16 on my predictions last week, which is my record so far this year, because I had 11 and 16 twice. And then percentage-wise, I know we've had teams in the bye, but I still think percentage-wise 12 and 16 is best. So I wanted to say that out of the way. That being said, I'm picking the Titans. Hopefully, the momentum can continue from last week on to this week. Next, a very big game. And the good thing about this is, might not even be the biggest game of the week. There's 3 games that you can debate are going to be the biggest games of the week, but this one being the first one, 8:30 in the morning in Germany. The Miami Dolphins technically at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a coin flip game. The Chiefs looked very bad last week. The Dolphins have had their ups and downs, but last week was one of their ups. I'm going to hope, for fantasy purpose-wise, the Chiefs pick it up this week and they are back to normal. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins win. And I know I hate saying that because it makes it seem like I'm picking both. I'm going to hope the Chiefs win, and I'm going to predict the Chiefs to win. If I didn't have Patrick Mahomes on one of my fantasy teams and Travis Kelce on the other, I would pick the Dolphins. But just mojo-wise, that's why I'm picking the Chiefs. If this comes back to bite me in the ass, I ain't going to mention that again the rest of the year. Next, Vikings at Falcons. Get well soon, Kirk Cousins, one of the nicest guys in the league. It sucks to see him get injured. And the Vikings, after, they had a rough start of the year, and they have slowly picked it up against the Falcons, who reportedly are going to be starting Taylor Heineke this week. I think I'm just going to pick the Falcons. I think they're at home. They are at home, because I have that wrote down. I just think they need to start picking things up, and I think if they don't do it this week, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Next, another very good game. The Seattle Seahawks at the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not going to say I'm a big Ravens fan. I've liked what the Ravens are doing this year. I'm going to pick with the Ravens. I'm going to stick with the Ravens. I'm going to stick it with the Ravens. I'm going to stick with the Ravens. Pick the Ravens. Even though I say several times, when I pick the Seahawks, they lose. When I don't pick the Seahawks, they win. Will that be the case this week? We will see. Next, the Arizona Cardinals at the Cleveland Browns. I'm trying to think what the hell the Browns did last week. Did they play? Who did they play? I'm trying to do this off the top of my head without looking. When the Browns played. This is bad video. I'm going to go back and look. Because I can remember the game because Deshaun Watson's been in and out of the lineup. He definitely didn't play last week. The Browns played the Seahawks, and the Seahawks won. And I won't lie to you, on Red Zone, when I was watching that game, it felt like Groundhog Day because it just felt like I was seeing the same thing over and over again. And the Cardinals, they have traded Josh Dobbs. Kyler Murray may or may not be starting. I think, again, I keep saying this for other teams. Definitely the case is for the Browns because they're spending a lot of money. You need the momentum. This is a momentum game. Use this game for a momentum. Next, the Rams at the Packers. Y'all know me. You don't know me. You may know me. Hopefully you know me. I'm a Packers fan. This has been a rough year. And this is titled Shooting the Breeze. This is when I should be providing my thoughts on the Packers. But I don't because I'm a coward. And I say this instead. Anytime I say anything, it comes back to bite me in the ass. Just watch my Packers franchise videos that I upload on Tuesdays. Anytime I say something, the opposite happens. And maybe I should also start doing that with predictions. I'm not going to do that with predictions. That would just be me being a bad fan. That being said, not putting bias aside, I'm going to stick with the Packers. And I said it for the Browns. I said it for the Falcons. This is the game and what you need to pick up momentum with. Next, Buccaneers at Texans. I feel this is an even game. I feel this is going to be a very good game. The Buccaneers are very close to beating the Bills on Thursday Night Football last week. It was a Hail Mary pass. Texans lost to the Panthers, which again, that was another close game because it was a loss on a field goal. The Texans are at home. I've picked all home teams except for the Titans thus far. I'm counting the Chiefs game as well. Oh boy, this is probably the most difficult game to pick this week. I think I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I was more impressed by I know both of them lost, but the Buccaneers were going against the Bills. The Texans were going against the Panthers. I was more influenced by what the Buccaneers did last week than the Texans. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. First away team in a while that I picked. Next, Commanders at Patriots. I'm going to go with the Commanders. They were very competitive with the Eagles until the very end, which is, it's difficult. The Patriots were somewhat competitive with the Dolphins. So I guess they're probably on the same level. I already marked, and I picked the Commanders. Next, Bears at Saints. This will be the last time I say it. If the Saints want to get momentum to go for the rest of the season, because they have looked very bad this season, this is the game you do it. You're at home. Pick up the win in this game. So I'm going with the Saints. Colts at Panthers. I'm going to pick the Colts. Panthers, they did pick up a win last week. Now, they were at home, and they're at home this week. Maybe that plays into a factor. If the Panthers won this week, I won't be that surprised. Next, Giants at Raiders. The Darren Waller revenge game, which I don't know if he'll be playing because I know he did not play long at all last week. And the Raiders they were depressing on Monday Night Football. I needed 10 points from Davante Adams. He got 1. I'm not blaming Davante. I would never blame Davante. It was a bad watch, though, for the Raiders all around. They fired the head coach, fired the GM, might be benching Jimmy Garoppolo, which I probably would never started Jimmy Garoppolo. The Giants, again, they've looked worrisome all year. Daniel Jones may or may not be back for this game. I imagine that he will. That's just me predicting again. I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'm not going to say this is a game in which you need to get momentum, but this is we need life. This team looks like it could explode at any moment. And this is the game to keep that from happening. Next, Cowboys at Eagles, another game you could debate if it's going to be game of the week or not. Both teams have had their ups and downs, but at least the Eagles have been winning games. So it's kind of, you could put that aside. So I think the smart choice here and the more likely choice, stick with the Eagles. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Did they wear the retro jerseys last week? No, they wore them the week before. They kind of blended in. Next, I think my prediction for game of the week, the game I'm looking forward to the most, the Buffalo Bills at the Cincinnati Bengals. I think I'm going to pick the Bengals. I know I've kept saying this it's not really a momentum game because both teams I feel have been on an equal level. The Bengals had the Joe Burrow injury at the very beginning of the season, and now Joe Burrow's kind of looked healthy and back to normal. For the Bills, they had their ups and downs. Josh Allen throwing a lot of interceptions. The defense keep picking up injuries. But again, they look normal. I'm not going to say what's the word? I wanted to say make or break. It's definitely not make or break. Playoff preview, I feel, is the best way to do it. And I'm going to pick the Bengals because, like I said, I think they have the momentum going on. That's the last time I'll say it in this video. It's the last time I have to say it in the video. And then last game, Monday Night Football, Los Angeles Chargers versus the New York Jets. I also want to point out, last week, the Raiders had already had a Monday night game this year because they went against the Packers, and they had another Monday night game like 2 weeks later. The Chargers had a Monday night game 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys, and again, time might be off, but I'm pretty sure it's 2 weeks ago. And the Jets had a Monday night game beginning of the season against the Bills. I guess, I know logically not every team, there's 32 teams, there's 18 weeks. I'm pretty sure every team could have a Monday Night Football game if they wanted it, but they probably don't want to put some teams in prime time. I don't think that makes sense. I think every NFL team should have a Monday night game, but that's just me. But that's what I said. Both of these teams are Monday Night Football. I think I'm going to pick the Chargers. Hopefully, they can pick up the momentum. I know a lot. That's the last time I'll say it. I need to find a new word to use. Not just saying momentum. I'd love to see a momentum count in this video. But that's the last time I'll say it. I promise. So that's my Week 9 NFL prediction. Now we get to the NBA section. Like I said, this week's NBA notes are mainly going to be an extension of last week's. Because last week's NBA notes, Jalen Duren should be leading candidate for most improved player. It sucks because he's injured now. LeBron and Kevin Durant are going to be tired as hell throughout this season because LeBron's case, the Lakers have been in very, very close games, and LeBron was supposed to be on this minutes restriction, so had to stay in and close out these close games. Kevin Durant's case, Devin Booker's been out. He played the very first, I'm trying to think, he might have played 2 games. I'm fairly certain he's only played 1 game this season. And Bradley Beal has yet to play a game, and now Kevin Durant is essentially, I'm not going to say he's out there on his own because they are still a good team, but when you compare it to the All-Stars that are on the team, he's definitely the only All-Star that is playing at the moment, and it's came back to bottom of the ass. They had a very close game. I can't even say it was a close game against the Spurs because they were up by a lot and ended up losing them. If Bradley Beal, or if Devin Booker's out there, definitely. Even if Bradley Beal is out there, they'll probably close that game out. But that's just an extension of what I said. Luka, I was saying, should be the leading candidate in my prediction for Clutch Player of the Year. He's definitely etched his name up into the MVP category with the crazy stats and games that he's been having, which I probably should have been also padding that and saying that along with my Clutch Player of the Year prediction. This one is a weird one. I was saying this is a good start for the Indiana Pacers and Orlando Magic because they started off undefeated. And ever since then, on Saturday, they have lost every game. The Pacers ended up winning that game that was on Saturday, but they lost the next 2, and then the Magic lost their next 2. In their defenses, Pacers haven't had Tyrese Halliburton, and the Magic had a back-to-back in Los Angeles. So, I kind of, the opposite of what I said happened there. Then, I'm trying to think, what was I had 5. What was the last one? Let's go back to the notes and look. Also, I won't be talking about the James Harden trade in this because I made a whole other video talking about it, and I don't think there's anything else I really need to add to it. Oh, Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren. Their Rookie of the Year debate is going to be very close. The main thing that I was saying last week is I thought that Wemby would take it easily. Not even easily, but I thought Wemby was going to win Rookie of the Year. That's my prediction for Rookie of the Year because he is the guy on his team, and that Chet isn't the guy on his team. It's Shea. It's going to be more difficult for him to get the spotlight needed to win Rookie of the Year. But so far, this early in the season, it's still neck and neck. And 1 week later, 5 days later, it's still the case. So now, additional NBA notes. Injuries are starting to pile up, which kind of goes on to the LeBron, Kevin Durant thing I was talking about. For top names in the league so far. De'Aaron Fox is supposed to be out for some time. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, don't know when they're coming back. Me personally, Tyrese Halliburton and Kyrie Irving, who are on my fantasy team, they're out. Don't know when they're coming back. And injuries are the worst thing that happen in sports. You want to see these players healthy. You don't wish injuries or just anybody being hurt in life and in general. But in the case of sports, you want the best competition out there, And injuries are the main thing that prevent that from happening. So you never want to see injuries starting. But we're a weekend, they're starting to already. Next thing, which is the main thing, and I won't lie to you, I'm more than likely to confuse the hell out of you because I'm still confused, but my confusion is not as high as it was. The in-season tournament starts this week, November 3rd, Friday, and I like the idea of the in-season tournament. It's something different, but in the grand scheme of things, I just think it's an excuse to have newer graphics and a newer prize. And y'all know me. Y'all can see my videos. You can see it even in my background. I'm a wrestling fan. I think the best way I can compare it is that this is the NBA's equivalent to the Intercontinental Championship. What I mean by that is when if you're a wrestler, and specifically in the WWE, your main goal is to be the World Heavyweight Champion. That's the championship you want. You want the World Heavyweight Championship. But you might not be at the same level as who are the world champions or whoever's on the World Heavyweight Championship level. So you start off at the Intercontinental Championship. And a lot of times, whoever is Intercontinental Champion and proves that they deserve to be Intercontinental Champion go on to win the World Championship at some point. And I think that's a perfect scenario for this, the in-season tournament. If you can win this in-season tournament, and you go through the obstacles of beating all these teams, it's kind of a mini preview of the finals and becoming World Heavyweight Champion. Now, I'm not getting into that whole debate that we had all summer if the NBA Championship should be called the World Champions, because I just kind of already gave you what side of the things I'm on. World Champion. That's the debate I'm on. But, like I said, the main thing with the in-season tournament is I feel it should be a mini finals preview. And it gives an excuse to have better graphics, more details out there. We can already see that happening because I've seen a lot of commercials. It's like, oh, we got these special commercials for the in-season tournament. The main thing is, oh, we got these special courts. Every team's going to have special courts for this, which I love that. But, I feel they should make an effort to do that a lot more times. And that we should also have the special courts for the finals because we haven't had those for a couple of years. But the main thing I'm confused about is I thought that it was I thought there'd be 83 games this year for the teams that win. The main thing I'm confused about, and I read the article, I watched the video, and it didn't explain it. I think that's not the case. If you win your group brackets, which I'll go through the groups in a second, because there's 5 teams in each group, so there's 3 groups for each conference, so there's 6 groups in total, which, like I said, there's going to be a lot of numbers and things out there. That's when it's going to get confusing. So, the ones that move on to the tournament are the winners of those groups. So 6 teams, and then the wild card teams who have the next best record in each conference. So, those group games are in the tournament. Those are in the season. Those are part of the 82. I thought originally there would be 83 games, and that the 83rd game was the winner, the finals of the in-season tournament game. I don't think that's the case. If you end up winning this in-season tournament game, you will end up playing 83, because that would be the first round, 84 quarterfinals or semifinals, and then 85 the actual. So I think there's a possibility of 85 games for each team, which, like I said, I read the article, I watched the video, I'm still confused as hell about that. At the end of the day, I don't think that part even matters. Going through these groups, we have good matchups. Group A, we have my Memphis Grizzlies, Phoenix Suns, Los Angeles Lakers, Utah Jazz, Portland Trailblazers. Group B is the Denver Nuggets, Los Angeles Clippers, New Orleans Pelicans, Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets. Group C, the Sacramento Kings, Golden State Warriors, Minnesota Timberwolves, Thunder, and Spurs. So, if we're talking, and again, I'm going to keep comparing this to wrestling. Matchup-wise, we got the Kings-Warriors playoff rematch, which they have history. It's also funny because they've already played twice very early on in the season, a week in, and now I don't know when exactly, it's going to be in this next month. They're playing again. Thunder and Spurs, I keep telling y'all about this connection between Wemby and Chet and how they're going to be neck and neck in the Rookie of the Year. Group B, Nuggets and Clippers. They have their playoff history from years ago, but the Clippers want to be in the finals. The Nuggets just won the finals, and the Clippers just made this big move to they should be finals contenders. And I guess you can include the Mavericks in that as well, if you want to include the Mavericks, Clippers playoff histories as well. And then Group A, Suns and Lakers. A lot of people want to compare them and make them a rivalry because they're the two super teams. I guess they're two of the three super teams in the Western Conference now. The Grizzlies have history with the Lakers in the playoffs, but I just don't feel that'll be the same as tension as it was. We get to the Eastern Conference. We have Group A, the Philadelphia 76ers, Cleveland Cavaliers, Atlanta Hawks, Indiana Pacers, Detroit Pistons. Group B, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, the Knicks, the Heat, the Wizards, and the Hornets. And then Group C, Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets, Toronto Raptors, Chicago Bulls, and Orlando Magic. And again, if I'm trying to compare this to a wrestling standpoint, the only teams that I see that have history here are the Bucks and Heat because they have this constant playoff rivalry. But the last thing I want to say, it's hard as hell to predict a winner of this. Because I would imagine, because you don't know going into it, because going back to an earlier take, injuries are already starting to pile up and screw things up. And I feel with this, especially being regular season and players taking time off to heal, and I know that they're not supposed to do that, but again, we've already seen that already happening. I think at the end of the day, not everybody cares about being the in-season tournament winner. Like I said, not everybody cares about being an Intercontinental champion. You're aiming for the world title. You're aiming to stay healthy and to compete for the world title down the line. So, I don't know who the hell is going to be on these teams and playing for these matchups whenever they happen. So, it'd have to be, if I wanted an accurate prediction, I would have to wait and go game by the game. But, I'm still going to provide a prediction anyways. I think the Boston Celtics, they're the only undefeated team. I keep comparing them. If you're to win this tournament, you should have a good case of winning the world championship down the line. And the Celtics have that. And like I said, they're still the only undefeated team. The Bucks, I've kind of said, I've seen them in the finals, and the Nuggets in the finals. I don't think I've ever said Bucks and Nuggets in the finals. But I've had the Nuggets, or the Bucks, being the best team in the Eastern Conference. And I've kind of debated if I should have the Celtics. But so far, the Celtics are the best team in the league, because they're the only undefeated team left at this moment. So, I think if I was to provide a prediction for this in-season tournament, I would pick the Boston Celtics. But that's why in the title of this video is not predictions for the in-season tournament. It's expectations, which I expect it will be fun. It will be competitive. It will look different because they're trying to present this as different than the regular season, which is nice. You don't want to see the same thing over and over again. And like I said, they're trying to make this a big deal. And especially with this being the first year, they're going to make it a big deal. So, yeah, that is it. Like I said, quicker episode of Shooting the Breeze. I want to get this out there. I am cold as hell, so I'm going to warm up. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully you all stay safe. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.